So, yeah, how have you been since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, man, good. I went and saw my old man for a few days. So I cycled. Did I tell you I cycled to basically to Gatwick?
Yeah.
It's fucking horrendous.
Yeah, I bet.
It was
Especially as soon as you get out of London, there's just a fuck ton of hills, isn't there?
That's exactly what it was. I topped out at like 50 mile an hour though on my bike.
Fuck that. It's not for me, that.
Which was the worst part is like it was going down roads that you don't know, you might go around a corner and it'll be a fuck off pothole. Like you just don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
it with country roads.
Yeah, and it was dodgy as hell. But yeah, it was alright. It only took me, it was like 2.25 hour actual cycle time. And I stopped a couple times, had a bite to eat, yeah, it was nice. Nice to get out, you know, proper like hard exercise for once.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then came back on a ghost train. Like literally, I think there were 2 people on the entire train.
Oh yeah. I saw one of my friends put a photo of him on a train the other day, and it was just he was the only person on his carriage.
It was weird. And then like it just so happened that I got attacked by some conspiracy nut at the train station.
Yeah. All right. Tell me.
Well, it wasn't too bad. I mean, she was there obviously. She was talking to the guy selling the tickets, right? And as soon as I walked in, you could see like the relief come across his face. He was like, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to speak to this nut job anymore." So I kind of went and started talking to him, booking my ticket, and I had some issues with my card and all this. And then she comes up to me and she's like looking at me, and I'm like trying to ignore her. And then she's like, "So are you one of those?" And I'm like, "One of what?" You know, one of those tracker people. You know, I hear the government are hiring all these youngsters to track people that are out of their houses or some shit. And I was
No way.
I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she was like, "Yeah, all these youngsters with their smartphones and stuff. Are you not into your smartphones?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It was just complete gibberish. Like genuinely, I mean, I've heard a few conspiracies about everything that's going on, but like that was one that I've genuinely not heard of. So I didn't really know what she was talking about.
Yeah, I wonder if she's talking about the app that they're bringing out to kind of track and trace people.
Oh, are they doing that? Are they?
Yeah. There's some kind of app where it's basically if they recognize someone's had coronavirus and been in contact with like near your phone, then they'll be able to check whether they've been near you, kind of thing.
Okay.
It's hard to explain. I think they're trying to do it anonymously, but it's not going to be, I guess.
Yeah, I'd have probably just said that was Google Maps. Like everyone that has Google Maps on their phone or Apple Maps.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem a little bit strong. It might help, but you end up in the I don't know, some privacy gets invaded on there, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, but this is my issue with the whole privacy thing. And I think I said this to you when we were actually cycling, is like people are so against this whole privacy. They're gonna know where you are and all this shit. And it's like, well, every time you swipe a credit card, every time you use your Sainsbury's Club card or your Tesco Club card, whatever the fuck it is, every time you log into WhatsApp, like they all know where you are. Like Google Maps will direct you on a route. Like if you're walking somewhere or driving somewhere, they will change the direction of your route based off of like the shops that you'll pass on that route, because you're more likely to go in, or that shop's paid for advertising with Google, so they're going to get more foot traffic and all this kind of stuff. And people are like so against these like outward privacy issues, but yet they have no issue. Like my mom's a typical example. She's always like, "Oh, they're spying on us, blah blah blah," and there she's got like 73 fucking shop store cards, like
Yeah,
collecting
yeah.
points and stuff. And I'm like, Mum, you know, every time you use Sainsbury's Club Card, they know everything that you've purchased. All that data gets bought by Facebook, by Google. You know, that's how they make money.
Yeah, there's a good example with the driving app Waze, or even Google, to be fair, I think, because Google own Waze. But I've had it before where I've needed fuel, so you hit like that you want petrol, and it tries to direct you to gives you a list of close ones, but they're all like Shell and BP, and then you could be near some fucking petrol station, and it's not coming up because all they want to do is direct you to the one that they're being paid to push people to.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because exactly, yeah. And they're not really taking anything from you there apart from potentially your time, of which they're saving you as well. So there's the argument that it's give and take. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like there's a balance, isn't there? There's a line, I think, but I don't necessarily think it's yet to have been crossed, in my opinion. And that's coming from an advertiser, so I may be slightly biased because we utilize all of this data to sell our products and programs. So
yeah, exactly.
You know,
there's you can see it from that's often how these tech companies justify it, as it's you're helping people, as opposed to you're helping people even if they haven't asked for the help, essentially.
Yeah.
But you're also helping businesses make money.
Yep. But how does the world work? The world works because of free trade, because of, you know, the movement of money of businesses. If there were no businesses, we'd all live in a pretty shit society, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So because last time we spoke, you said it was popping off with your marketing, right?
Yeah, man. It's been really good. Obviously we sell a lot of fitness programs, and everyone's at home. Everyone wants to stay fit. I mean, you've probably looked out the window, the amount of people that are going running.
Yeah.
Like, it's unreal. And people are spending so much more time on social media. Like, the usage of social went up by like 30% when this lockdown happened, which is, if you think about the number of people on social, it's 3 billion people. 30% of that's like nearly 1 billion people more using the platform. So the supply and demand has just dropped, which means it's cheap. So
is that for cheap ads? Sorry, you broke up there. Is
Yeah.
that the cost of ads?
Yeah. Costs of ads have dropped massively. So
it's interesting, that, isn't it? Because really, yeah, I guess it's because traditional businesses probably aren't pushing their stuff. You're not getting like the very dominant powerhouses of marketing pushing their gear, such as luxury outerwear. Even like nobody's really going to be buying many luxury products to be that are worn.
See, who's going to buy? It depends. Like, it depends who you're targeting luxury. When you say luxury, what do you mean? Do you mean like high-end yachts and motorbikes? And
no, I mean who's
going
to be putting down a deposit now on a 2020 X6 BM? The chances of you parting with that money right now are slim.
Yeah. See, there's a balance. I think the people that are buying luxury stuff, you know, they're probably not being as impacted by this as John, who works at the local restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, like people that are potentially financially better off already aren't going to suffer as much as those who are living paycheck to paycheck, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So their buying decisions aren't going to be as impacted, I don't think. But again, I think that's a time thing as well, like how long it's gonna go for.
Yeah, this is it. I think there's a certain period, because I had it myself, where you think like you try and estimate how long this is going to take, right? How long this is going to affect you. You know how much cash you have generally to last you that time if needs be. And then people are probably going to start spending again when it's looking like, when like in Spain at the moment, where they're on about opening schools again and shops again, everything's getting relaxed a little bit. That's probably when you're going to start seeing a lot more spending from people generally again, because that you've got £4,000 sat there, and all you need to do is pay one rent. You're back to work anyway because it's almost over. Then people have that excess cash to be spending.
And people plan where they're going to spend their money before it's even in their bank account, don't they?
Yeah, I Gary Vaynerchuk was saying that the day stimulus checks hit people's accounts for in the US, I think everyone was getting like $1,200 or something. The day it hit people's accounts, the e-com world, there was a big boom.
Yeah.
And that kind of sums people up, I guess, doesn't it? You've suddenly got, even if you've got a job over there which pays $1,200 a month, which is nothing over there, it's to get it in one go, where you haven't had to go to work and use your fuel and stuff. You can see why that would happen now. It's predictable, I guess.
Yeah. What's the video industry looking like?
I think everything's gone at the moment. It's a lot of influencer videos, kind of 3D content, stock footage, and rehashing old stuff. There's obviously no new content being shot, and even in the higher end of things, people who work on Netflix productions and etc., that's just dead, because without all these big productions, as soon as you start getting over budgets of 10,000-20,000, you need insurance to be able to do the work, because just like everything that's worth tens of thousands, it has the potential to go wrong. So if it's uninsured, that would just be a nightmare. So the chances of insurance companies covering those big productions at the moment are very slim, and without insurance, then you can't do the production. Which is kind of at the lower end of the market, the videographer types. That's going to be much more agile, because as soon as something can be shot, it will be shot, because people are willing to risk that a little bit, because at the end of the day, they're risking themselves, the one person. But yeah, I mean, I've done a few bits of just editing influencer videos, touching up audio, putting titles on, etc. And it's just that kind of content at the moment, but it's the kind of content that people want to watch as well. Like I'm currently working on a workout video, because it is all the rage right now.
Yeah.
It's not me personally doing the workout. It's Jason Leggett, he's called.
Okay.
But yeah, that's through Puma. But it's just I very much feel like it's just going to be a lot of that, at least for a couple months.
Yeah. Are you looking at ways in which you can find work for potentially afterwards? Like, are you lining gigs up, or are you pretty confident that as soon as this goes down, you're going to be in demand?
I don't think there's anything I can do to line anything up, like I'm not in the position, unless you're a producer, or you kind of need to be in a position of being a producer to be able to put something forwards. Whereas typically that's not my role. So I'm expecting / hoping that things are just going to pick up again.
Yeah. What about like relationship building and connections and networking and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do with that, like you can only be talking to people, seeing how people are doing, but generally I think everybody's in the same boat, like there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
That's what makes it annoying, is you're slightly powerless to everything when this kind of thing comes, is like everybody's position. You're waiting for something that you don't know. You don't have a time on when it's going to lift or when things are going to get better. So you're literally just waiting for it to pass by.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I believe, and you know, you're obviously someone that follows Gary Vee, but like I believe now is a good time for anyone to be creating content. You know, especially your industry. I think even I got sucked into a fucking video yesterday on YouTube of some like big videographer guy. I can't remember how I found it, but it was he paid a bunch of like Fiverr people to edit some footage that he had recorded. He created a commercial for a pizza company. And then he went to Fiverr and paid like a varying sum from $500 down to $25 to get it like edited, just to see which was the best. I think it was obviously a paid promo by Fiverr. But yeah, that was just quite interesting. I mean, I think everyone, and this is something that I'm doing now, is relaunching and putting focus on my podcast again. And you know, you're obviously creating this content. But I think everyone to some extent, especially in a service-based industry, could be creating content that will benefit them when this all comes down. Like the world is looking for leaders. The world is looking for people to step up and say, look, it's a shit time, but we can get through this. Because everyone is just fucking complaining. So there needs to be those people that step up and either entertain people, educate people, and just help them through it. Like those are the ways that you can do it through content. So I think, you know, there's definitely good that can come out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think for the full time of me being freelance, I had like 2 weeks that were quiet, and when I say quiet, I mean like one shoot day on each week. So I was still working, but they were like quiet, I guess. They were the only 2 weeks, and then the whole time I'd been wanting to learn 3D and just different softwares, just kind of like get to grips with things that you really need to put your mind into. And especially with the 3D stuff, that's the kind of level stuff that you need. People do uni courses on for a few years. And it's good. For me, it's been good to learn that kind of shit. Like, it's not that I'm any good, and it's not like I'm going to come out and straight away be able to do animated ads or anything, but it's at least got the ball rolling to learn the fundamentals of something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, the people that are willing to do that, like willing to invest in themselves over this time and realize, okay, it's shit, but you know, it's a chance for me to level up. Again, those are the people that are going to come out on top when we go back to quote unquote normal, you know? Yeah. It's like, especially in the like, if you're a freelancer, if you run your own business, like I can kind of understand if you work for a company and you know, you've been furloughed and there's not much you can do. I mean, realistically, you probably could still invest in yourself, learn a new skill, but especially if you have your own business and do your own thing, like now is the time to double down on becoming the best. You know, I always just think, like, is your competition out there learning something that you're not? And if the answer is yes, then you gotta get to work. That's why I've decided to learn magic.
No, what? Were you going to do something else weird as well? There was another, or was that, maybe that was it?
There's two things I'm doing, comedy and magic. So
I felt like there was something else. Maybe not.
Maybe. I'm always looking for random shit to learn. Oh, crochet. I did a bit of crocheting.
That was it. Fuck me, crocheting, yeah. How did that go? You sucked that up?
Yeah, well, I got too good, so I was like, you know, this is just
evidently
silly.
By the amount of knitted things around.
Yeah, man. No, I sold them. I started a store, you know, scaled it, sold it. It's easy.
You wouldn't expect now's the season for woolly hats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
22 degrees out.
It's right though. My crocheting, the holes were so fucking big in it.
Yeah. I don't think I've got the hands for it, man.
No,
It's too
man, it
fumbly.
takes a lot of concentration. Like when you're
Yeah.
first getting used to it, like there's a lot of concentration that goes into it. But when I was down with my old man, I found out. So my grandfather was a big magician. He was a member of the Inner Magic Circle here in London, and he'd done stage shows, all that kind of stuff. He'd always do magic when we went to see him. And I found out whilst I was talking to my old man that my great grandpa, who I was named after, he was one of the up and coming like comedians of the time in the 1920s. So like the Independent did a write up about him. They were like, he's the next big thing. And then obviously the war happened, and so never happened for him.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was quite fascinating. So yeah, I was like, I'd already signed up for a comedy course before this all kicked off, and so that got cancelled. But yeah, so those are the two things, like joke writing. So I'm doing a lot of reading on like joke writing, and then magic, starting with card magic.
They're both just storytelling in a way, aren't they? Apart from magic. Yeah. Magic is
even magic
a story
is
that's not true.
In a way.
Yeah, it's diverting someone down a path and then actually just it leading somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like I've always, it's one of those things. It's like there's always so much stuff to do. It's just now it's like you don't have an excuse. It's not like you are going to train or you're going to meet some friends or whatever. It's just like there's so much extra time in the day. Even like just travel. If you take travel time out of, like, especially for someone like you, if you were to work if you were to add up all the hours that you travel in a week, there's a lot of time there. But obviously you have to do it when you are working.
Yeah, I mean to get myself to North London to one of the studios is an hour each way typically.
Yeah.
So that's 2 hours of your day gone. If you're doing that, like I do that 3 times a week, maybe 4 times sometimes. Yeah. That's almost a full working day gone. It's balmy, yeah. I mean, people look at fuel now. There's no demand for fuel, so oil prices have plummeted, and it's causing many knock-on effects now.
Yeah, my old man was saying that oil prices are now negative, like the underlying oil prices.
Yeah, so apparently, I'm not fully sure how it works, to be fair, but if you buy a contract in oil prices, if you sign the contract for 10,000 of these in May or mine, because I believe you have to do it. It's kind of like futures, and then if you buy them for a negative price, and it comes to fulfilling the contract, then you contractually have to store it. I fully don't understand it, but yeah, it's gone negative to the point where it's just crippling all the industries that have relied upon that and all the people that rely upon oil being high. Yeah,
it's mad, which is kind of what one of the questions of like how long will this, obviously I understand that there are a friend of mine who's in the fitness space in America. He posed an interesting question, because there is obviously going to be a lot of deaths because of this, right? Directly correlated to the virus. But if you to look at the increased death rate because of the 2008 recession, there was a big spike in death rate when poverty increases and the recession, etc. And his kind of question was like, what's worth more? Not what's worth more, that's not the right way to pose it. I can't remember how he said it, but it's basically like, are you more open to reopening everything so the recession isn't as bad and the poverty death rate doesn't increase? Or do you, and obviously the coronavirus death rate will increase, or do you do it the other way and you keep everything locked down and then the recession kicks on even harder, which will have that spike, but that won't be tracked. Like, we know it won't, people aren't going to necessarily be talking about it every day with fucking death counters. You know, you didn't see that,
Yeah.
did you? But it is a knock-on effect. It's like, it's an interesting question. It's like, actually, I don't know what the effect of it is in the UK, like if it's the same. But obviously America's a lot bigger.
It's well, currently we just hit 20,000 deaths in hospitals from coronavirus, and as soon as this is over, back to normal, people keep saying it's gonna like suicide is a big byproduct of financial difficulties with people, and this is already hitting people. And yeah, like you said, that's good. That's gonna just lag on afterwards. There's gonna be so many relationships that are broken apart. There's so many housing issues with people now. The chances of suicide rates increasing are just pretty much a given, I think. And that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Like, at what point do we just say, let's just stop the lockdown and carry on, because it's damaging the economy, which is in turn going to lead to more deaths as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not only suicide, but yeah, it's everything that you just said, like the whole knock-on effect of the recession, basically. It's like the longer we keep lockdown, the harder the recession is ultimately, the struggle is going to be. And yeah, it's an interesting one, but like, where do you draw the line? Like, my old man was saying that obviously the current lockdown is supposed to finish end of next week, isn't it? No, the week after next.
Week after, I feel, yeah.
Yeah, so that's right, that's bank holiday weekend. And
yeah,
it's like, well, you're not gonna. I was talking to someone before this on a call, and they said gyms are expected to open middle of June, so that's still another 2 months, like just under. So it's, we're probably not going to be back. I mean, normal's changed. Like, what was normal is no longer going to be normal, is it?
No, there's definitely. I've seen it to the extreme where Bill Gates was saying that people shaking hands is going to be a thing of the past now, and I'm not sure how true that would be. But there's definitely going to be a lot of changes in people. I can see, like, even masks being worn just year round now, like that being quite a normal thing, especially when you're getting on the buses and tube and stuff.
What, by everyone or just Asian people?
I don't know. Well, I mean, that was quite big in Asia anyway, wasn't it? Right? Yeah. I've seen that for years. But that might just be our normal then.
I don't think so.
No.
And again, I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I think people's ability to forget is incredibly high. I think people's ability to, I mean, prime example, 2008, fucking huge recession. We are 12 years later. And if you look back in history, right, every 10 to 12 years or whatever, there's been a recession, or just under 7 to 10 years. It's been a recession. So we know it's going to happen. Yet when the recession happens, everyone's like, fuck, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. It's like, well, did you forget what happened in 2008?
It's true, yeah.
People just go back to like, it's habitual, isn't it? It's like, yes, you may see a small increase, but I can't imagine you're going to see a majority of people wearing masks and all that kind of stuff. Just because
it's almost like we're almost ignorant and optimistic in our, like, it's the same reason why climate change is like very much a prominent issue, and yet because it's not on our doorstep, because it's not truly interfering day to day, we're just like, well, it's probably going to be all right, and then you just carry on as if it is all right. And like you say, even though there will be another recession in the next decade, we will just carry on as if there might not be.
Yeah,
because it's easier that way. Why put the systems in place, which includes funneling some of your own savings off into sensible investments? Why do that and have less cash right now for something that might not happen, though statistically probably will?
Here's an interesting question / viewpoint. So, and I take zero credit for this. I got this entirely from a guy called Andrew Schultz on his podcast. They were talking basically about, obviously coronavirus kills old people and fat people, basically people with respiratory issues, fat people being one of the vulnerable categories. One of the biggest problems with like the body positivity movement is very much, you can be, if you want to be fat kind of thing. It's not hurting anyone else. But like being fat is obviously, you're going to die in the future. Like heart disease, all that kind of stuff is stuff that's going to happen later down the road. Whereas this is like, okay, actually, if you're overweight, you're going to die now, potentially. Like you might. It puts you at risk. So do those people, those body positivity people, do they still sit there and go, no, if you want to be fat, you know, be you, be bigger is beautiful, this kind of stuff? Do they keep that mentality and that mindset, even though saying that could potentially be putting people at risk? Like where?
Yeah, it probably puts you. I mean, again, none of us are scientists, but it puts being overweight puts you at risk for respiratory diseases, absolutely, and so does smoking. But you don't imagine if I was a smoking positive person, where I'm just like, everyone should be smoking cigarettes. Be free about smoking cigarettes. We should all do it. If you want to smoke a cigarette, smoke a cigarette. And it's like, yeah, you can smoke a cigarette. That's fine. You're allowed to do it, but you are probably gonna die earlier from something. And if coronavirus is the thing that's here now, and you want to carry on smoking cigarettes, then just understand that your risks are higher. And it's you're not denying anybody of the ability to do something, but celebrating potentially unhealthy lifestyle, it almost makes you I don't know, you're not responsible, but you're definitely not helping the situation.
No, I'm with you. I think it's a stupid movement anyway. Just as
being
a whole.
Body positive is fine. Like
There's a
you
difference.
don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to wake up and check the scales, and if they're not bang on track, you can't be like, fuck. Like that's fine to have a day where you're, or even a few days, or like right now, I'm pretty sure you've got a barbell of people who are getting more in shape because of all this. There's a lot more running going on, or you've got people where I feel like I'm less in shape, but my weight's not really changed that much, but it's just because I'm doing different stuff. I'm running more than I am doing weights. But yeah, being body positive is fine. It's just being obese positive.
Yeah,
that's
it's
where
like
the
saying
line
it's
probably
okay
gets
to be
crossed.
fat. It's like, well, no, it's not, is it? Like, it's ultimately going to kill you. You're
Doctors
basically
are telling
saying
you it's
exactly
not
like
okay.
you said.
Yeah.
But like you say, being positive in the sense of like confident in who you are, I think that's great. It's an amazing movement. But saying it's okay to be fat, no, don't agree with it.
Just change
and again,
it to...
it may be biased because I sell fitness programs for a living.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's easy to say when you're not fat, right? But like, I didn't think I was fat, but I was 10 kilos heavier than I am now.
I used to be fat. I was fat all the way up until I was about 15, 16.
There's a lot of people generally, especially like, unless you're, is it ectomorphs who are super skinny? Is that the body type?
Yeah.
You know, the folks who struggle to put on weight. Unless you're one of those types, all of us at some point have been a bit overweight.
Yeah.
Because it generally...
it's very rarely is it anything more than the amount of food you eat versus the amount of energy you expend.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, absolutely.
doesn't matter if you're a vegan, it doesn't matter if you're keto, it doesn't matter if you only eat fucking kiwi fruit. If you eat more calories than you expend, you're gonna put on weight.
Yeah, it's probably a fucking large old basket of kiwis a day, to put on weight
Yeah,
from it.
yeah. It'd be like the amount of fucking yogurt that you used to eat.
Yeah. I've got a theory that like most people, at least I saw this in myself. You know, when you get your first job out of uni, or say at the end of uni where you've started to understand finances a bit better and save more money, but you've just got more disposable income. That period of your life where you first get more disposable income, coupled with the fact that since school and college we're doing less, a lot of people do less exercise. I feel like the next generation have got this nailed a bit better, but at least in our generation of like graduating uni 6 years ago, wherever it was, you kind of get more money to buy pizza, of which Domino's are constantly chucking out 50% off codes to students, and then also coupled with there's nobody there to tell you to exercise, and you can do whatever the fuck you want then.
Mm.
And I was eating chocolate every single night and pasta, and then just sitting watching Netflix, and then that's how I put on weight, because there's nobody to tell you otherwise, and you've got the money to do it, and it's fun. Very briefly until you realise you're fat.
Yeah, but yeah, it's true. But it's also like it depends who you surround yourself by. You know, if you're it's amazing how like it's obviously a cliche and it's been said a million times, but you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's like it's unbelievably true. Like if you're fat and you surround yourself with 4 or 5 fit people, the likelihood of you becoming fit is massive. It's huge.
Yeah, otherwise the difference of dynamics socially that can have is huge. Like, look at a holiday we've both been on in the past year, going to Bali. It's not a place that's quite nice as a fat person, I imagine. It's either beach, of which generally a lot of people are topless, or it's hot as fuck. It's always hot as fuck, which I'm sure having the extra insulation is probably horrible. And there's just a fitness community there, whereas it's not even just fitness, it's just wellness of just people looking after themselves in Bali. So there's it kind of, if your 4 friends are going on holiday there, and you've basically got to go on holiday with them, otherwise you've got to go on holiday on your own. It's going to be quite tough, and you'll have to.
I love the fact you think I've got 4 friends.
Yeah. Well, you went with 2, right? Getting that.
Yeah, and it was a work trip.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, I went by myself last time. That's fine.
Yeah, mate, I love solo. Like, I think solo traveling / holidays, I think they're the best thing ever. You can do what, and this requires a certain level of confidence, I think, and that's something I struggled with for a long time, is confidence. But like, to be able to go and do what you want to do and not have to do, because everyone has this kind of like, if we went, let's say you and I go, right, let's go to Amsterdam. We're going to wake up in the morning and we're going to be like, oh, so what do you want to do today? It's naturally the first thing that you say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas
you often, I don't know, there's less decisiveness because you don't want to upset somebody.
Yeah, you're always trying to please someone else. And I think that's one of the best things about going somewhere on your own. You have no one to, like, if you want to stay in your hotel room and do fuck all day, you can do it. If you want to go to this place or that place, you can go there. Like, and also I think there's huge benefits in the fact that what it does for you mentally. Like, I think this isolation, one thing that a lot of people are going to struggle with, and I've heard this from a couple of people who know others. So it's not necessarily people I know directly, but I was talking to a friend of mine on Sunday, and she was saying that a girl that works in her team is really struggling, like, mentally with this whole isolation thing. And I think one thing that it's doing is it's making people actually sit with their own thoughts. Like, so many people just numb out thinking and, you know, like just consuming them, not consuming themselves, but, you know, just actually being with their own thoughts, as opposed to, you know, constantly in communication with people, constantly doing stuff like, and I think some people are really struggling with that. I think it's, you know, some people are thriving with it, but others are really finding it difficult because they've realized, maybe they've had a couple of realizations that actually they're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. People just need to be entertained these days, right? Like you look on the tube and there's people just watching Netflix. Like, oh, I see fully grown men playing Candy Crush.
Yeah.
By the age of 20, you should be confident enough with yourself, or you've started to put the pieces together with yourself, that you can just sit and think, like, why is there an issue of anything? You can look at stuff and just think about it. Like, you don't need to have this constant stream of external information when the internal information, you can just be processing that. Like, just think about the next, if you're on the tube on the way into work, why not just be thinking about work, so when you get there you can rattle it out, as opposed to playing Candy Crush, putting your brain in that shit, and then you got to get to work and then probably be an executive of some sort where you've got to make decisions, even though you're just playing Candy Crush. Now you've got to make a decision on some fucking sale. It's strange that people feel the necessity to constantly have this shit going on. And it's like, this is why like there's a big culture for toured trips where, you know, you go away and they're like, right, today we're going to this place, then we're going to this place, and we've got this organised bar crawl which starts at 7 p.m. You've got to be there wearing your t-shirt, and it's all laid out for you. Whereas the flexibility of just doing what you want's a lot nicer. It's harder at first, but it's a lot nicer. And you'll feel better for it.
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily think everyone is confident in themselves by 20. I think it varies in different areas, but it's one of those 1% things. If you improve 1% every day in that specific area, by the time you're 30, like you're gonna be so much further ahead. And I think exactly that, having the ability to be still, or like have that stillness, like meditation for me, when I started meditating, probably I must have been 20, it was off after my last season, so I must have been 21, 22, and that was what completely changed a lot for me. And exactly as you say, like having that ability to actually think about things. Have you read a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work?
No,
it's interesting, but it's basically, you probably do it. It's largely about like flow state and things like that. But I can imagine when you're doing your 3D renditions and stuff, you're not picking your phone up every 30 seconds to see if you've had a text, or, you know, you're just focusing on that for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. But a lot of people struggle with that, and they can't maintain that level of focus. And that's largely down to the amount of distractions is way, way higher now. And so that need for constant like notifications or Candy Crush or whatever it is, it's much harder. But when you do break free from it and you can maintain like you know, deep work or flow state, or, you know, any kind of focus and stillness, it makes it that much sweeter. Like, that's one thing I love about those float tanks, is it's like, it's just an hour of nothing but you and your thoughts. Nothing. Like, you can't do anything.
I'm yet to try one. I had the chance to do one for £35, but I just didn't have the time at the time to do it. Have you done it much?
Yeah, I did it when I was down in Devon. I did it probably every 2-3 weeks. I'd go. It was super cheap down in Devon. In London, it's way more expensive here. But I got like 10 sessions for 270 quid. So it was like It was like 27 quid a session, which was awesome. But yeah, they're amazing. It's like, I would say, if you, like, being able to meditate beforehand or meditating regularly beforehand it will be a big benefit, because the first time you go, it will be a real struggle, like just to sit there, and you'll probably get bored or what have you. But by the third time, it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely need to try it. I think I'd struggle to come straight from something where I've had to be mentally active. I think that's kind of what you're saying, right? Is if you left the office and it was a long day, or if I leave a shoot and then within an hour you're in a float tank, it would decompress you a little bit, I'm sure, but you're not really going to get the full experience of already being relaxed. And then the idea of it is to take you further by taking away your senses.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if you have a bit of time beforehand to chill, like to slow down a bit before you get into it, you will get to probably a heightened sense. What I meant by that is, like, if you can do 30 days of just 10 minutes of meditation a day beforehand, and your mind is able to go into that state of, okay, focusing on my breathing, I can actually feel my body, I can feel my body pressing down on the sofa or wherever you're doing it, and being able to utilize your mind like that will help when you go into that situation beforehand.
Yeah, I definitely need
even
to
if
try
it's
one.
just like guided meditation. It's great.
Yeah. No. So where do you see your work going now? How is it changing?
Well, we're just looking to scale, man. Like, we're trying to capitalize as much as we can on this. It's there are a lot, because obviously we're in the fitness space, so we have two angles. We have the direct to consumer, where we partner with people and we market their products and programs, and then we have the education and coaching side, where we teach the models that we use. So the funnel strategies, the advertising strategies, we teach all of that. So the fact that there are a lot of coaches right now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
You're freezing. Okay. But there's a lot of coaches right now that obviously, if gyms aren't open, they can't make money. So they're looking for ways to move online. And there is a big opportunity. People are wanting to get fit and healthy because of this. Like, the fact that being healthy improves your immune system. Being healthy improves your respiratory. There are huge benefits to it. So yeah, we're trying to just scale up both sides. We're trying to find personal trainers that want to learn our strategies and teach those, and then just going direct to consumer. We're actually launching our own program. It's still a partnership, but we have a majority share of it, just as a case study to show, this is doable from zero in this climate. Because a lot of people don't believe it. You've seen them. You've seen the scams online. They're everywhere. But at the same time, most of the scams are scams because people don't do the action needed to get the results.
Yeah. It's definitely not, a fitness video isn't a one-way street. You can't watch it and get the results from it. Like, you've got to put in the effort yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same with any model. It's like, if there are people out there that teach how to launch a video production company, I'm sure their program is awesome. But if I buy the program and don't go out prospecting, don't go and shoot any videos, don't do any of that, I'm not going to make any money. I'm not going to build a successful production company because I didn't do the work. So it's like, that's the biggest issue with this space, is people blame the mechanism when it's not the mechanism. It's, it's like if you have a car, someone gives you a car, your sole job is to put petrol in it and put your foot on the accelerator. if you get in the car and don't fill it up with petrol and don't put your foot on the accelerator, it's not gonna fucking go anywhere.
No. People often want a shortcut for everything. I think it's in our nature to want to shortcut everything, and it understandably so, but it's when you try and shortcut things too much, right? Like, say with investing, people want to know, they just want someone to text them saying, buy this, it's going to go up in the next 4 days by 40%, and then you can sell. People want that simple container that they can just have, when actually that information's kind of there potentially with some things. You just need to find it out yourself. Like, those decisions have to be made yourself. And yeah, bring it back to the fitness side of things. You can say do 50 burpees, but if you're just feeling like 15 today, you're gonna get less than a third the benefit of doing the 50.
Yeah.
People want a shortcut.
Yeah, they want a magic bullet. They want to become rich quick. They want to become 6-pack abs in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that, you know. And it's quite crazy though to think how many people still, you know, buy into those kind of things. Now, don't get me wrong, it's possible. Like, I personally know guys that have gone from 0 to making 6 figures a month within 3 to 6 months. Like, it is doable, but the work and energy that goes into that is not what most people will want to put in.
No, that's whilst they're doing it in 3 to 6 months, they're doing it in a time, like, you're working twice the length of a day as the average person. It's not that you're still just doing your 7.5 hours with your lunch in that day. It's just that work is being condensed.
Yeah, exactly. If you were to time that, if you were to put that into a 40-hour work week, it would take you 3 years. But they've just gone. And also, beyond that, like, they've shortcutted it by finding people that have done it before, that have proven models, that have systems that allow you to get to that level. You know, it's like, if I wanted to shoot a commercial, I'm going to come to you and say, hey, Kurt, I want to shoot this video. What's the best angles I should use? What's the best camera I should use? You know, how should I export the footage? You know the system. If I try to work that all out, it's going to take me 3 weeks. If I come to you and say, hey, Kurt, how do I do this? You're going to tell me, and it's going to take me a day.
Yeah, it's interesting, this
situation, but
yeah, I know what you mean. But it's interesting. I heard, I can't remember which investor it was. There was an investor the other day. It may have been Ray Dalio or someone. But no, it was Tim Ferriss, I think. He was saying about you've kind of got to work out where. So say asking for a consultation from someone, like you were just saying, it's going to cost you money, but you're then getting this chunk of knowledge in a smaller time because somebody else has done that legwork beforehand. And you kind of got to figure out, like, and if this person just sits down with you for half a day, for 4 hours, and gives you all this information, then that's valuable because you've only spent half a day's worth of time. Whereas if you have to go and look it up and it takes yourself 40 hours, which is a full work week, then you've gone 5 days. And what's your time worth? Is your hourly rate of 40 hours? Say if you think of yourself as worth £30 an hour, you've just then spent a lot of money essentially.
Yeah. Instead
of that 4 hours you just spend on them, and then you've saved yourself all that time.
Yeah.
It's a smarter way of thinking to be able to pay people sometimes, and that's why the service economy exists, is because other people can do things for you better and cheaper and faster.
Yeah.
It's even if you're paying money for it.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think there's a really good book by a guy called Dan Kennedy, called it's No BS Time Management is his book. He's got a whole series called No BS. And that's one of the things he says is like, obviously you work out your productive time, you have like your unique ability of doing this one thing. Like for you, let's say it's video production, video editing, whatever it is. Everything outside of that, if you can pay someone else to do it for less than your hourly rate, you should pay them to do it, basically. Like you shouldn't be doing menial tasks. And it's the same with shortcutting. Like you shortcut time by paying money. And the more, the wealthier people you speak to, the people that are much further along the journey, they will be the ones that always tell you that. They'll be like, just pay for it. Because they value and they see the value of time. Like you can always make more money. There is billions out there for you to make. You can never make more time. So it's mad.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, yeah, my mind's gone blank, but there's just these people here who are essentially buying you time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That there's people there who can buy you time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't want to invest it because it comes back to the fat thing that we were talking about earlier. People don't see that instant gratification. They don't see the result that, okay, you may pay me my hourly rate of £200 an hour. I give you some mad tips. You're going to implement them over the next 3 weeks, and then within the next 6 months or 12 months, you're going to make an extra 6 figures from it. But because you're not going to see that 6 figures until 6 to 12 months time, you might be like, oh, actually, is that £200 worth it? It's there now. That's why scratch cards are so popular, because there's the chance to win now.
Yeah.
It's like instant.
For very little input. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you've put everything into something, you're more invested into it, and the payoffs they're going to be bigger. It's just how it works. You only get out what you put in generally, or you only get out what you've collaborated with others to put in. But there aren't any magic things out there where, say, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, 3 the biggest companies in the world, have had crazy amounts of manpower going. Whilst Jeff Bezos has sat there, and a lot of people disagree with his money, he's done the hard work, like he's also then taken the hard work of others, ethically or not, but he's put in the work as well.
Yeah, it's leverage.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, I'm very much capitalist in this mentality, that I think tax breaks, I think all that kind of shit, like that these big companies got, or even small companies, like if you employ 5 people, I think you should be entitled to certain levels of, breaks. Amazon employs hundreds of thousands of people. I would almost say millions of people. I don't actually know. But they basically run part of the economy. If they went out of business, like if you think about the amount of people, like the US unemployment rate would go up by 0.5% or whatever it is. How much better? I know you use eBay a lot. We had this conversation the other day. But how much better is life with Amazon Prime? With Amazon services?
Yeah, I genuinely think there are so many shoots. And I remember doing my tax return and having to put in my expenses from Amazon. They were hefty. And because there are so many shoots where you're like, oh fuck, I'll get this in case. Like even if it's a cheap green screen backdrop, because you may do one green screen shot. And I've done that twice now and not used the green screen at all. But like, there's just so many things where you're like, because I can get it the next day. Or the amount of hard drives. I think I've got like 40 hard drives now. and they're all Amazoned next day because I'm like, oh, I've got the shoot coming up, I could do with an extra 2 terabytes. Yeah, they're not only just like a slightly more convenient way to shop, they just allow people like me and you to be more fluid with things. You can be a little bit more last minute, you can be a little bit more dynamic in the way that you're spending and seeing things, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's incredible. I think they've done, and so for that, should they be allowed off all of their tax liabilities? I mean, they pay some tax, but not a lot. But
the problem is when you get to companies like Walmart, who are infamously, infamously undervalue their staff. In that it was during the Obamacare period, Walmart were costing the government, it was something like $100 million a year, in the fact that like a lot of the employees were so underpaid that they had to claim Obamacare for all of their health care needs, because Walmart didn't pay them enough to cover insurance. When really, if Walmart paid their employees properly, they'd be able to afford insurance. And say if it became mandatory that they had to buy insurance with that money, then it would kind of eradicate the argument that they might just use that extra money on something else. But they were costing the government $100 million a year just by not being able to pay their employees properly for their healthcare needs. That's when it gets very snaky, because if Walmart are paying $300 million a year in tax, there's a third of it gone.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like they employ, I don't know how many people Walmart employ, 400,000 people maybe, something like that. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, that they run on like I don't know if you've read Made in America, but that's Sam Walton's guy that set up Walmart. It's his autobiography that he wrote before he died. Obviously, I know he doesn't run the company now, but like they run on something like a 6% profit margin, maybe even less. You know, so their volume's huge, but their profit is pretty small in comparison to their volume. But yeah, it's an interesting one, because you know, yes, they cost money, but at the same time, they employ 500,000 people.
There's a lot of this gets ignored, I think, with airliners, and that airliners were one of the first to be asking for bailouts over here, right? And a lot of people are disgusted by that, because you can sit there in your seat surrounded by 250 other passengers and work out that, well, my ticket was £600, and if these were £600 average, then the company's making this much money. But then the margins that company operate on are so tiny that as soon as there is that fluctuation, that little black swan event such as the coronavirus, then that's it, it's done. There's no room for weathering the storm. Yeah,
it's not like these big companies, especially like physical product companies that employ staff, like even drop shipping companies and stuff like that I know, they run on a 20% profit margin. 20 to 30% is good. We, as a digital product company, we run on about a 50 to 70% profit margin, which is awesome. But yeah, like airlines, I would love to see. I wonder if I can see what the average profit margin of an airline is.
I know it'll be low, because it's interesting. Warren Buffett famously, he just does not invest in airline companies, because you're dealing with something that it relies on a lot of people, like a lot of staff members, and it relies on a fossil fuel price, a commodity price, which the fluctuations just in oil prices can obviously affect an airliner massively.
9%.
And then 9%. Yeah. That's not as bad as you'd think, given the amount of money that goes through airlines, but yeah.
But it's, you know, there is extortionate, like, you know, you think of like when what people don't realize is they like you said, they sit on their seat and they say, I paid this much and all this kind of shit. But then what they don't realize is, okay, from your ticket price, did you click through on a affiliate's website? Yeah. Okay. 10% of your ticket price goes to that affiliate. Then you've got ground staff. Then you've got tech. Then you've got accounting. Then you've got fuel, maintenance, the actuator of fucking planes. Like, there is so much cost to physical businesses like that. It, you know, I look at them, I go, fucking amazing that they're still running, you know.
I find plane like flights are so cheap. It's weird that to get from London to New York and back with a decent airliner is £250. Like, how is that possible? When
It's insane.
if I want to fill up my car, which is quite economical, and do a trip to Scotland and back, I'd be looking at over £100 of just driving, and that's just a car.
Yeah.
There are so many other things at play to be able to make it that your flights are cheap.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper for me to fly from my house in Clapham. It's cheaper for me to fly, and sometimes shorter in time, to fly to most places in Europe, or a decent amount of places in Europe, than it is to me to get home, as in my childhood home in Devon.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Which, you know, it's mad. I think it's absolutely fascinating, and that's like as much as they can.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm hoping that I really can't understand, because this isn't my field, but I can't begin to predict whether it's going to be really cheap to fly after this or very expensive. There's an argument for both sides, I think, and it's the argument for the cheap flights would be that they want people flying again, right? That's how their business operates. And cargo, like a commercial passenger flight, they use a lot of the space underneath for cargo. Hence why, even if the plane's half empty, they don't mind, because they can fill it up. Because your luggage isn't there, they can fill it up with cargo. But they want people on the planes at the end of the day. But then there's the argument that there's just going to be less flights running, so there's going to be less competition. Like, there's a chance that Virgin Atlantic are going to go under, which if BA survive, then that's half the decent flights from London to New York gone.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cheap. I think it's going to be my housemate, she works in the travel industry, and I think she was saying that flights currently, they're really cheap.
I've seen the odd one to Bali for £600 return, which is kind of just below average, I think. Pretty good.
Depends who you fly with. When I flew there, I think it was, I think I paid like $480 or something. Yeah. But that was middle of December, so.
Who was that with?
Garuda.
Yeah. If it's not Qatar or Emirates, I'm probably not getting on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm quite picky.
Fair enough. I can see that.
You should upgrade your airliner, not your seat. That's what they say.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's been good to chat. I'm gonna ring off, but I'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate the call.
No worries. Catch you later, Cam.